Welcome to The Startup. I'm Rebecca Jarvis.
Hate to wait? Then ZocDoc is for you. The company, founded in 2007, lets users book a doctor's appointment online at any time. And because the site provides a real-time look at doctor schedules, including last-minute cancellations, you'll typically be able to see a doctor within 2 or 3 days. Over the past 2 years, ZocDoc has seen its user base grow 850%. 1.7 million people in 20 cities now use the site each month.
And we're now joined by ZocDoc's founder and CEO, Cyrus Masumi.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, about 5 years ago, I was on a flight from Seattle to New York, and I had a really bad sinus infection. My plane landed back in New York, and I ruptured my eardrum. I needed to find a doctor, and I went to my insurance company website. It took me 4 days to get access to a doctor. Now, I live in New York, where they have more doctors per capita than any city in the world, and coming from a family of doctors, I knew that doctors have 10 to 20% of the time their last-minute cancellations, and yet I couldn't get access to any of these physicians. So I thought to myself, I do everything in my life on the internet, get my groceries online, book my restaurants, my travel, and not to be able to book a doctor seemed like a ridiculous proposition.
You're making money because the doctors are the ones paying you.
Yes.
$300 a piece.
Exactly.
For a month. When did you start making real money? Did you have to wait a long time before breaking even?
So, our first market that we launched took quite some time. We had to learn even how to facilitate this business, etc. So that may have taken a couple of years, but beyond that, we've perfected having to make markets profitable very quickly. And so it's been a really good learning process, and it's been going faster and faster over time.
What's the smartest thing you've done so far for this business?
The smartest thing I've done was approach my 2 co-founders. They're probably the smartest 2 people that I've ever worked with, and I was fortunate enough to convince them both to join up to start this company. And I think since then, we've just hired so many great people, and so I'd amplify that success, and really it's all about the people. A business like ours, yes, it's about technology and scaling, etc., but if you have the right people at the core, everything seems to work itself out. What
do you want to achieve with ZocDoc?
Well, I think that access to healthcare is one of the biggest problems, not just in this country, like globally in healthcare. There's a shortage of doctors in America, nearly 150,000 doctors shortage, depending on who you look at, over the next 5-6 years. And, scheduling for healthcare is just so incredibly inefficient. You have all these doctors that are canceling last minute, and there's no way for people to get access to know which doctor out of 100 may have the open time of who can see you this afternoon.
You have this great analogy about trying to book a flight the same way you book doctors.
Exactly. So imagine right now, a lot of us go to Expedia or Orbitz and we try to book a flight, and now imagine if you had to go call each individual plane.
Individual plane, not individual carrier, but each plane.
And they'd all be small planes. So literally you have to go and find the one seat out of 50 that might be open. You have to call 10 different planes. How frustrating that we would never travel. It would be so frustrating. We literally would just stay at home because it would just be impossible to do. Now, healthcare, you don't have that luxury. You have to go to the doctor when you need one. Again, with the shortage of doctors, it's going to even be harder to find doctors in the old way, and we need technology to solve that problem for us.
Which battle scar has taught you the most?
It's a very good question. I think to some extent it's like being an entrepreneur in an operations-driven business like ours. I liken it to every day there's some sort of challenge you need to overtake, and it's just a question of picking yourself back up and taking that one step forward. And the cool thing about it, I remember when we first started out, how humbling it was, because we left these, we had great careers, like our futures were set, and looking back, I'm amazed that the kind of risk that we took, and we did, we sort of jumped all into the business. But early on, I remember we launched on stage at this big tech conference, and we were expecting that we would run out of all these doctor's appointments day one, and that didn't happen. And realizing that it's all about incremental improvements. And I remember sitting in a room, early on, like our first week after we launched. Okay, great. I left my job, and we're sitting here. We just launched this company. What now? And we were sitting around waiting for people to book doctor's appointments. I remember one time. It just had so many funny anecdotes about things that we did and learned and failed at and succeeded at. And so, not everyone thought at the beginning that ZocDoc would succeed. I was the first salesperson for ZocDoc, and I would literally go to every doctor's office and sign them up myself individually. And I like to share this with our new hires, which is I got literally thrown out of 3 doctor's offices here in New York, like escorted out with security. Told leave, like security came, like never come back in this building again. And the thing I'm the proudest about is that some of the team that we hired subsequently then went off and signed those doctors up for ZocDoc. And every single one of those doctors now uses us. I'm sure they don't remember me, but I guarantee you that they remember ZocDoc because we're probably their leading patient management tools. They're probably the #1 referral source for these practices. And it shows that there's a lot of people who early on, they don't want to embrace change. And it's amazing how just so many people who told us no in the early days, there's no way I would ever want to use this service. They sort of change their tune when they recognize that it's something it's a win-win. Patients get access to the doctors they need. Doctors get to fill their open appointment times and be more heavily utilized. Quite frankly, insurance companies benefit because we keep people out of the emergency rooms. And there's really not a loser in the whole equation, but it's amazing what it takes, what you have to go through in order to really convince the world that an idea's time has come.
Will you go public?
It's a question I get asked probably about 15 times a day, and what I say is, we haven't. It's not something that we thought about.
You haven't?
No.
Really, never? It's
not something that we've planned for. Obviously, people ask us the question, so we think about it in response to that. But we have a lot to do in our business, and we're fortunate that we've got a great group of investors. Our capital needs are more than satiated, and so it's just a question of getting out and building a great company, and we'll let the time come for that when the time comes.
Cyrus Masumi, great speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Founder and CEO of ZocDoc. Thank you.